Hi guys and welcome to Whisky Geek. Now I owe you all an apology. It's been roughly 3 weeks since my last video, my last content, and that hasn't been by intention. I've actually been really frustrated with myself that it's taken this long to get back into the groove of things. But about the time of my Ardbeg Distillery Tour video, we were actually weaving our way up through Scotland, doing the usual thing of visiting distilleries, getting some great footage for you guys, and working our way up to Inverness. We were visiting Joe's family, and whilst I was up there, I was involved in a car accident. Now, Joe and Alfie weren't in the car, so they're perfectly fine, but the car was a total write-off. So we were stranded up in Scotland, and our trip got extended. Fortunately, Joe's family were really receptive and actually quite happy to spend some extra time with us, and then Joe's parents even drove us back home, drove us all the way down south again. So that threw a bit of a curveball into things. When we got back, I needed to let my neck settle. It's not particularly bad, I'm over the worst of it, I think. And I've also been ferrying Joe and Alfie around, all the checkups, the appointments, the inoculations, and trying to get him back into a routine, which he's been a little resistant to doing. So I've not really had a sleeping pattern. So all things combined, it means that I have let the channel slip a little bit. But I'm really thankful to see that it hasn't really hurt the channel that much. We've just broken 140 subs. There's still plenty of comments. I'm massively behind on comments, so sorry. I do plan to get around to you all. And my guys on Patreon, there's been a few more Patreons jump on board, and they have actually seen some previews, some of the footage of the places I've been. So they're in the loop as to what I've been up to. But as per usual, coming back from Scotland, I've brought a little haul of whiskey with me, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So let's get on and do a bit of an unboxing. First port of call was Deanston, and I did a couple of tours with these guys, which included another one of these Distell Capitas. I really like these glasses, they're finished very well. And that's not been washed, so it still smells fantastic. And whilst at Deanston, picked up the 12-year-old Paolo Cortado. They had a lot of different whiskies, a lot of different finishes to go through and try, and they were very receptive of letting me try them. This, it probably wasn't the best of them in my opinion, but it was both the most interesting, something unique compared to what I've already got, and most reasonably priced. It hit that sweet spot for me. I know a lot of people like this one, and I'm really looking forward to cracking the bottle open. Next up, we went over to Aberfeldy. Duals of Aberfeldy, they do a lot of stuff for blends, but they do also do some single malts. It was interesting, it was a really great tour, it was a really great visitor centre. It was interesting to actually get to try a wider range of their whiskies. I've only had kind of the base offerings before. I haven't walked away from any whiskey there because the two that I really liked, and not including the single cask I tried, the two that I really liked were quite expensive. I think the entry point was 130 quid. So I didn't grab either of those, but they did include this quite interesting glass. It's like a Glencairn on a stem. Next up was Balblair. Now, I was really interested to get up there and try the new age statement range. So I've walked away with a selection of samples here, and the jury's still out for me. I'm looking forward to spending some more time with these and seeing how they fare against the old vintage ranges, but I'm not sure yet. I do actually have a bottle of the 12-year-old I need to go pick up, but I've got a sample of the 12, the 15 and the 18 here, along with the distillery exclusive. Now the distillery exclusive, I've been to Balblair 3 times, each time I've wanted to get a distillery exclusive. The first time the pump wasn't working, the second time they were just changing the cask, and this time around when I tried it, it didn't really engage with me. They've taken it down to 46%, and it's not really what I'm looking for. So I still don't have the Balblair exclusive. I'll just have to try again at some point. So straight from there, I was headed further north to go to Clynelish. I was doing the Taste of the Highlands tour, the £45 tour, and I was really excited to actually get a feel for the distillery and some of the offerings they have beyond the 14-year-old. The tour itself was really great, the staff were super accommodating, and the distillery, although they're building a new visitor centre at the moment, which is really good news, the distillery is actually really spacious and really well laid out, accommodating for visitor groups. You could stand alongside the washbacks, look down inside them, the mash tuns, see it operating. They even had some chambers with observation windows in between so you could see how it's progressing through. When we got down into the stills house, we were able to take some footage, which is unusual for Diageo in particular. But it was a really great tour, and one of the most exciting things for me was getting to walk alongside Brora, see the development that's going on there, see them reinvigorating all of that history. Not only are they using the old existing buildings and refurbishing those, they've actually still got the original stills, and the copper thickness on those stills is actually thicker than the Clynelish stills currently are. So there's a lot of health left in those stills, which means that they should be able to kick off that spirit with pretty much the same character straight off the bat. Fingers crossed. And then of course take some detailed designs of the existing stills so that they can replicate them and refurbish them in the future. So it was really cool to see that come into life and get a glimpse of what's coming. So I've walked away from there with some more samples again. The tour I was doing did actually include 5 samples, but the Johnnie Walker Gold and the Clynelish 14-year-old, because I've got bottles of them here, I gave those samples away for guys to appreciate up north. So what I've got here firstly is the Clynelish distillery exclusive. I had a wee nip of this whilst I was at the distillery just to see if it warranted buying a whole bottle, and I thought it did. I really enjoyed this one. It's one of 3,000 bottles, bottled at 48%, and this is batch 1. It fared considerably well against the next 2, which were special single casks. So this one is distilled the year before I was born, 1988, Clynelish cask. This one is hand selected for the visitors to the distillery. And finally, there was a sample of a Tanninic 1985 single cask as well. This is the first Tanninic I've ever had, and interestingly, it was probably the favourite whiskey, on the nose at least, of the 5 that I was trying there. Now I did have some other distilleries planned, but as you can expect, I had to cancel those. Hopefully it won't be too long until I can rearrange and get up there again. But whilst I was up there, I did manage to find some other interesting bottles and interesting deals. So, Tullibody in Burgundy, I keep harping on about this one, but you can find it up there for 27 quid, and at that price it is an absolute bargain. I really love this whiskey, and I've just remembered that I've actually bought this as a gift for someone, so hopefully they don't watch this video because they'll probably put 2 and 2 together. Then we have the Ardbeg 10. Found this for 37 quid for a bottle. That is also a great bargain. I needed to replace this bottle for a lineup I've got planned, so grabbed one of them. Then I managed to find a bottle of the Edredauer Caledonia. This is a 12-year-old. This was actually recommended by one of my patrons, and I believe it's no longer made before. It's not one I've seen on the shelves before, so I thought I'd grab it. It wasn't a crazy price at all, and it's quite a nice looking colour. Edredauer doing all natural, and 46%. It's ticking a lot of boxes. So I'm looking forward. That'll actually be the first Edredauer that I've tried, I think. Oh no, I've tried one of their peated ones before. Anyway, looking forward to that. Then whilst we were up north, I called in and collected some stuff that I'd won at auction. Now, Port Charlotte MC01, everyone knows I love the MRC01. This is like a part of a duo there, similar vein, so I was keen to get my hands on this one. It's normally a travel exclusive and it's becoming kind of tough to get your hands on, so I was happy to grab one of them. Next up, I chose to pick up these 2 Longrows, the 14-year-old Sherry Cask Matured and the 11-year-old Longrow Red Pinot Noir. Now, because when I did my collection video, I managed to screw up and miss the section about Campbelltown, it was a recurring theme that everyone kept saying, you need more Longrow, Springbank, Campbelltown. It's a solid suggestion, so I thought I'd get a couple. I think these 3 at auction, including all the fees, it cost me about £75 a bottle, which I can live with. I don't think it was ridiculous for any of them, but I'm hoping that they live up to that. And I've also been sent this really promising looking package from one of my patrons. I've got a bit of an inkling as to what it's going to be, and I think it might warrant its own video, a blind tasting maybe. So thank you, Luna. I'm not going to go through it in any detail now, but I'm really excited to get around to it. I also had opportunity to meet with Captain 3D, Phil and Deepa from their YouTube channel, and we, because I've been so chaotic, we only had an hour together, so it was a really condensed hour bombarding each other with whiskey, but we started off by trying to kind of develop our mutual appreciation of bourbons. Mine and Joe's favourite of the ones that they brought with them was the Old Forester 1920 Prohibition style. So they very generously left us with a bottle of this, and I'm excited to add it to the collection of bourbons which I'm developing a palate for, that I'm trying to develop my appreciation for. But I'm also super excited because technically they gave that one to Joe, What they gave me was this interesting bottle. And kind of what draws me into this more is the confusing story behind it. It's from a Cadenhead shop in Campbelltown, and you fill it yourself from what equates to large infinity bottles. I think the Springbank Distillery brings down bottles every now and then and tops up these infinity bottles, and depending on when you fill your 20 centilitre, you get a slightly different slice of that whiskey. When I tried this one, we did open it and we had a couple of drams. It was like honeycomb, the core of a crunchy chocolate bar, honeycomb brittle is it? And then when you popped it into these thistle glasses, it brought out loads of this Springbank funk. It was a really interesting whiskey, so I'm looking forward to spending a bit more time with that one. Maybe this is one I'll share with my patrons because it was interesting. And Phil and Deepa also left us with these interesting samples, a new and an old White Horse blend. Do a bit of a comparison with them. A Four Roses, a small batch select, and Elijah Craig barrel proof. So there's plenty of bourbon, plenty of whiskey to be getting on with and sampling. So thank you very much for joining me for another little whiskey video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please chuck a like and a comment below. And once again, I'm sorry for the inactivity, but hopefully I'm back on the scene now. Cheers guys.